I just got done watching Devotion. This is about an elite fighter pilots Jesse Brown and Tom Hutner who became the U.S. Navy's most celebrated wingmen during the Korean War, starring the likes of Jonathan Majors, Glen Powell, and directed by J.D. Dillard. Now, I've been looking forward to this. I think the trailer was fantastic. The cinematography looked gorgeous, but some of the reactions coming out of, I think, Toronto International Film Festival, where this had premiered, weren't like the highest of praise. And I also think a lot of this is going to be typically compared to Top Gun Maverick because that came out this year and absolutely blew up the box office, and it was a phenomenal movie. It's my second favorite film of the year. But what I want to say right now is that this is different than Top Gun Maverick. Yes, you have the fighter pilots. Yes, you have them flying around and shooting and all sorts of things like that. Absolutely, you have all of that. The tone of this movie is completely different than Top Gun Maverick in every way. It's also completely different when it comes down to a story structure and the story that it's trying to discuss and tell, specifically in when it comes down to the history of the Korean War and two of the most acclaimed U.S. Navy fighter pilots of all time. Ocean is an excellent piece on history and discussion on, again, two of the most acclaimed U.S. Navy pilots of all time, as well as a discussion on a wonderful friendship, to just say the least. So this is going to be a very fun review to talk about. I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and as well as leave your thoughts down below. This movie premieres the week of Thanksgiving, so if you need a film to go see on Thanksgiving, I definitely recommend this one because the brotherly nature, the relationship that you feel here with the friendship is just some of the most gorgeous stuff that I've seen all year long when it comes down to duos. And with that said, let's dive into the pros on this. And one of the first things I really want to mention is, of course, the direction from J.D. Dillard, as well as the cinematography and score. I thought all of that just kind of worked in harmony. And I might even argue, I think the cinematography for part of this film was even better than Top Gun Maverick. Now, Top Gun Maverick has amazing cinematography. There will never ever go against that. I even think a lot of the flying moments in there is better. But looking at this film and the structure that it was actually doing, they did a lot of unique styles with the cinematography, using a lot of natural lighting that really brought this atmosphere to every single one of the war sequences, specifically even some of the bunker sequences with the crewmates all discussing and having conversations, and just in general when they were together. It actually made you feel like you were there, and it didn't feel like just a big budget Hollywood movie. And I really dug what J.D. Dillard was able to do in putting you in the shoes of these fighter pilots as well as everyone else surrounding them. And again, I was very impressed with that, specifically in certain moments and the way that he actually was able to lit these scenes. Again, using natural lighting gave a different type of atmosphere to this all. And again, that had to have been from a directing standpoint and choice, and then the cinematographer actually capturing this. But also diving into this, J.D. Dillard is a wonderful director. I saw his first film, I think, called Slight, which I thought was actually pretty damn good. This is even better. And I do like the idea of what he actually framed this movie to be. While telling a piece of history, what this is at the core of it all is a story about friendship. And the fact that that friendship blossomed and bloomed, and the way that it actually affects the today's standards of those families, and the way that you actually see at the very end of this movie is very awesome. And I love everything that he was able to do with that. But one thing I gotta say is two movie stars. One that's kind of already hit the scene and really much is going to just keep getting bigger and bigger as the years go by. But also the other one, Glen Powell, I want to start with. I thought he was such a big standout in Top Gun Maverick for such a small role as well. He stood out in almost every single way as this cocky asshole that does have a heart to him. Every other role I've kind of seen him in, he's played that role really well. And he's played this, he can also play very subtle and nice and respective. This is my favorite performance of his. I actually got teary-eyed at one point, and specifically the way that he really aligns himself in here is just perfect. If Marvel was smart, like they got Jonathan Majors to play Kang, they would absolutely grab Glen Powell to play a role, or maybe even DC would grab a role. This guy is about to blow the hell up, and I'm so freaking excited for that because I think, again, Devotion is a piece that is riveting from, yes, a directing standpoint, but from an acting standpoint, it is out of this world phenomenal, and I just could not get enough of Glen Powell, as well as Jonathan Majors, who I've said for the last 2 years, since I really discovered him in Lovecraft Country, and just seeing how phenomenal he was in there, that he is truly not just one of the best actors working right now. I would argue that he is like top 3 actors working right now. This guy continues to excel and blow up in each and every one of his roles. He's about to be in Creed 3. He's also about to be King the Conqueror, the main big villain for the next Marvel universe. This guy eats up dialogue like it's nothing, and his subtlety to every single performance and sequence in this movie added so many layers. And what I was most impressed with to see was how they were able to really form this relationship, this friendship, and the chemistry between them is irresistible. I could not get enough of it at all. And they truly, I personally think, made the entire movie what it is. I think if you put any other lesser actors into these roles, it could absolutely deter the movie, because while I was riveted from some of the action scenes, and again, the action scenes are absolutely going to be compared to Top Gun Maverick, and Top Gun Maverick did a lot of non-visual effects stuff. This film clearly has a lot up more. This film is a different type of story, and I dug that. But I do want to start getting to some of my issues with this film. And the two things that I kind of noticed while watching this movie is, one, the runtime. The runtime I felt was needed, but some of the pacing feels a little bit lacking. And I do think it's because it really is just a Glen Powell and Jonathan Majors story here. They never really build up any of the other camaraderie with the other crewmates in here, and I actually think that is actually a detriment to the entire film. Now, I understand the friendship that they're trying to focus on in here, but definitely the other people needed to be a little bit elevated in here, in my personal opinion. As well as tying into there, while I love them, some of the visual effects were a little bit spotty, and it's a little bit noticeable here and there. Not completely where it's going to take you out of the sequence, but I would have liked some touch-ups in certain places. But again, for a majority of the part, that's more of just a very small nitpick, to say the least. I honestly think Devotion shows why Jonathan Majors and Glen Powell are the real goddamn deal in this entire thing. They carry this entire film with their amazing performances. There's fantastic cinematography, riveting action sequences, and again, some spotty, iffy visual effects here and there, but other than that, like, some of it's like very believable. And I love J.D. Dillard's directing in here. Like, the way that he really puts you into their shoes is unlike a lot of the other things that I've really felt this year within films. And again, I keep mentioning to try not to mention Top Gun Maverick, but I know it's going to be something very easy to compare it to. This is not Maverick. This is a very different type of story, and I appreciated that. So I'm going to give Devotion a B+. Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on this movie. Again, it comes out Thanksgiving weekend, so let me know down below your guys' thoughts. But of course, until next time, stay classy.